and Rotaract District Conference.
Very good evening to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the organizing committee and the district steering committee, I would like to welcome all of you to the 30th Rotaract District Conference of the Rotaract District 3220, Sri Lanka and Maldives. I am Rotaract Methmini Karavana and I will be your host for the evening. You will be stuck with me for the next 2 hours, but I promise to keep you entertained. And also a hello goes out to all of the people joining us through Facebook and YouTube Live. Now, if you're joining in from Zoom, as you can see, I have a very cool virtual background. So this is an opportunity for you to switch on your cameras, try out the virtual background so we can see your beautiful faces. So yes, please do switch on your cameras. And also, please do stay till the end of this session because we have several gift winning opportunities. And who says no to free merchandise, right? All right, so today is the first day of the 4-day long conference, and the organizing team, together with the district team, has organized an exciting lineup just for you, filled with interesting events, activities, challenges, and amazing personalities. But to tell you more about what the Rotaract District Conference is, what Rotaract is, and to welcome you a little more warmly, let me invite you, the project chairpersons of the 30th Rotaract District Conference, Rotaract Immediate Past President Satma Jaisinghe and Rotaractor Senuri Hetihamo.
A very good evening, everyone, and greetings from the Rotaract District 3220. I'm Rotaractor Satma.
And I'm Rotaractor Senuri.
Welcome to the 30th Rotaract District Conference. Rotaract is one of the largest youth-led volunteering movements which offers professional development for its members while engaging in many projects serving the less fortunate communities in Sri Lanka.
And the Rotaract District Conference is one of the most prominent events within the movement that creates a platform for discussion of contemporary trends in youth development, a celebration of service, and a space for engagement and learning for our fellow Rotaractors in the spirit of volunteerism.
Despite the overwhelming consequences of the new variant of the COVID-19 pandemic, this public health crisis demonstrates that we are all interconnected and that our well-being is contingent on that of others.
A renewed and healthy society is possible only if all of us, as one, commit to reducing the vulnerability and the impact of ill health by taking steps to respect all protocols and protect one another. Hence, the organizing committee and the host clubs have decided to conduct the 30th Rotaract District Conference entirely on a virtual space this year as a 4-day event under the theme of Uniting Against the Tide.
Every year, conference holds many educational, motivational, interactive and fun-filled sessions, paving the way for the professional development of our members and celebrating and appreciating all the hard and good work done by them over the year.
The only difference in this year's conference is that the entire conference will be handled digitally, and we will be walking you through the largest virtual event of the year as we embark on a local to a global journey throughout the 4 days.
It is our pleasure to walk you through the conference and to let you know that we have an amazing lineup of speakers and delegates that have come from all over the world to share their knowledge and to broaden our horizons.
We also have a few fun activities and entertainment items lined up, so stay tuned for those surprises. Who knows, you might even be able to win a gift or two.
And of course, let's not forget the much awaited Papa Awards scheduled to take place on the last day of the conference. Don't forget to vote for your favorite nominee.
Before we get started, we would like to express our sincere appreciation to all of those who generously helped us make this event come together. Starting off with our beloved host clubs.
In no particular order, University of Morocco, University of Peradeniya, Colombo North and Colombo Fort. And of course the Rotaract District Steering Committee of 2020-21 and all our friends, family and loved ones who supported us and guided us.
And special shout out goes out to the DEXCO and ADRR Paveen for constantly guiding us. We couldn't have done this without you.
The entire team has been working tirelessly over the year, shifting plans according to the new challenges that were thrown at our way in order to make this event a reality.
So we would like to humbly request all the delegates and participants to take part in all the activities that we have scheduled for the next 3 days as we bring to you the very best of Rotaract.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rotaractor Satma and Rotaractor Senuri. And as you all probably know, it was no easy task organizing this 30th Rotaract District Conference. You may or may not know the conference was supposed to be held in early May as a physical event in the beautiful city of Kandy. However, out of concern for our very own Rotaractors and its participants, we had the organizing committee decide to make the call to have the event completely virtually. And this, ladies and gentlemen, they did it in a matter of weeks. They, ladies and gentlemen, did not give up. Instead, they united against the tide to strive as one. And I believe that deserves a big round of applause. I'm not going to hear you guys applauding, so I'm going to applaud on your behalf. Right. Now, as I said, there are some exciting events lined up just for you guys, and this is something that's going to get the cricket fans all excited. So what is a conference without its keynote speaker? Now, there might be people who already know who it is, but for the ones who don't know, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read the introduction and you're going to guess. And if you're in a guessing mood, please do drop your guesses in the chat box. And same goes to the ones joining us through Facebook and YouTube Live. So let me introduce you to our keynote speaker, starting from a few cricketing highlights. So he scored the first Test century for Sri Lanka in Faisalabad, Pakistan in 1982, scoring 157 runs. He was the first Sri Lankan to carry his bat through in both a Test match in New Zealand and a one-day international in Sri Lanka against England. His highest Test score of 190 is a record even today as the highest Test score made by a batsman in his country's first Test appearance at Lord's, the Mecca of cricket. He was also the first Sri Lankan to be named Wisden Cricketer of the Year in 1984-85. His highest first-class score was 227 not out for Sri Lanka against the Indian President's 11 in 1987. He has both been a selector and chairman of selectors of cricket and an ICC match referee after retiring from cricket. He has also served as the president of the Sri Lanka Cricketers Association. In 2015, he was appointed by the Ministry of Sport as the chairman of the Interim Committee of Cricket in Sri Lanka. In this capacity, he simultaneously held the positions of the president of the Asian Cricket Council and a member of the ICC Executive Board. Currently, he's the chairman of the Nobles Group of Companies, a family-owned company in the manufacture of garments for export. Since retiring from cricket, he has taken up the game of golf and has competed successfully in many local golf tournaments. Ladies and gentlemen, clearly this individual is a man of many sports. So the keynote speaker of day one of the 30th Rotaract District Conference is none other than Mr. Siddharth Vettamuni. And this is a short video clip about him. Now, during the session, if you guys have any questions, please do send your questions to the host, that is the 30th Rotaract District Conference. If you're joining us through Facebook and YouTube Live, do drop your questions into the comment section and we will direct your questions for you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome Mr. Siddharth Vettamuni. Mr. Vettamuni, the floor is all yours.
Good evening, young ladies and gentlemen of Rotaract. I'm delighted to be here with you, and I thank you for inviting me on this occasion. I have come to a stage where I try to speak as little as I can in such forums, but when I heard that the audience was a young bunch of guys and girls, I thought I must participate, and hopefully I can say something which might stay with you during your lifetime. So, in my life, I've had two careers. I played 20 years of cricket, intense cricket, which was my passion. And then, needing to make a living, I had to find something else. And I've been in the clothing industry ever since then. Playing cricket in my time was just more a semi-professional or amateur sort of affair, because just to give you an idea, when I finished my career at 30, which wasn't too old for a cricketer, getting paid the highest amount of money for a test match, I was actually paid 10,000 rupees for a test match. Just to give you some perspective into this, today a test player would get more than that for their meal allowance of a day. So obviously I couldn't survive on playing cricket. And I was coming to 30 and I was thinking of getting married, and I had to make a call whether I was going to continue playing cricket or retiring and finding something else to make a living. And that's how I got to the clothing industry. And I must say, I'm very grateful for the fact that I played cricket, because it is the cricket that gave me the opportunity to go into this area as well. Now, I would first like to talk a little about my something in the clothing industry, because my favorite story is something I encountered during that period, the period in the clothing industry. So, as you know, you may have an idea of how things work in the clothing industry. You're dependent on so many factors coming together, so many different aspects have to be looked at, and then you are not necessarily in control of those areas which you depend on. For example, to sew a garment, you need thread, buttons, zips, all sorts of things. And all these come from different people. And that makes you very, very dependent on others. Now, whilst I was in this industry, we used to have visitors from abroad, and I had this visitor from the UK. He was the managing director of this particular company, and his wife was also working with him. In which capacity, I can't really remember, but he was in Sri Lanka wanting to buy clothing. And they were the biggest supplier of lingerie to Marks and Spencer from Ireland at that stage, and they were trying to broaden their supply base, and that brought him to Sri Lanka. So I have to share this little story with you, because I think this story shaped the way I looked at things and the way I handled crisis situations. And I would like to share this little story. It's a little story, but I will tell you that story. So I was having dinner with him at the then Ramada, which is now the Cinnamon Lakeside. And we were at the coffee shop, and I was seated next to him. And suddenly the steward brought this phone and said, "Sir, excuse me, there is a call for you." And, I still remember those huge phones, which were like bricks. So he takes the phone, and as I'm in front of him, I had no choice but to hear what he was saying. Not that I was wanting to hear his conversation, but I can obviously hear his conversation. And it went something like this. So he says, "Hi, Isabel." A little silence. And then he says, £2 million? That's huge. Another pause. And then he says, "A gun on the table? That's ridiculous." And then he listens a little longer and says, "Isabel, just get on a plane and get back to England, and I'll see you there." And then he rings off, and then he looks at me and smiles. So I just, I wasn't sure what to say. I said, "Mike, I'm sorry, I just overheard that. But that didn't sound very good." So he smiles back. He was a really charming, charismatic guy. He smiles and tells me, said, "Yes, Isabel is in the Philippines in this massive factory. I don't think I should mention names. And we have a huge problem with garments worth £2 million. My eyes were rolling at this time. And he said, the GM came for a meeting with Isabel. And when he sat down, he kept a pistol on the side of the table. So, this was just mind-blowing. I said, "What did she do? No, what are you going to do?" And then he gave me these words of wisdom, which I'm now going to share with you, which has stayed with me all my life. He said, "Siddharth, when I get a problem as big as this, I just lock it in the drawer. I lock it in the drawer because there's nothing I can do about it. Then I will open the drawer the next day and take a peep at it. And if I think nothing can be done, I'll lock it again." He said, the funny thing is that as you go on, within a matter of a few days, maybe a week, the complexion of these problems always change. They always change. They never remain constant. And believe me, these words of wisdom were just incredible to hear, because when I reflect on so many things that I experience in the trade or in general in life, you'll find we are always exposed to situations like this. And then, if we are wise enough, we do not react spontaneously. The message from that story is that patience is the greatest virtue, and due to the changing nature of everything, if you can have the patience, step back from a situation and watch a little longer, you will find things unfold in a way which maybe you quite didn't expect. And if you have the patience, you'll find so many other qualities also would be enhanced in your life. When you're patient, you'll find there's more consideration, there is more deliberation, there is more deliberate thinking and decision making. And I have found this hugely beneficial in my life, though it's such a simple little thing. And I'm now going to tell you another little story connected to this, because this same story I mentioned at a ICMA, not a conference, they invited me to speak at the golf club to the ICMA guys. And I gave this story to this audience, and a funny thing happened. 2 weeks later, when I'm on the golf course, I had this friend of mine who was at that conference, who ran up to me before I teed off and said, "Sid, I have to tell you something. I've come to tell you something and thank you." So I was, taken aback. I said, "Great, tell me, what's it?" So he said, "I encountered a situation which was just like what you told me, and I followed the same advice." And he said, "This is what happened." He said he was about to get a huge contract to an installation of ACs or something like that. And he was expecting this contract, and suddenly he gets a mail from his principal saying, sorry, we've decided that India should handle this, and you may have to either try and work with the Indians or you may not get this contract at all. Now, as he heard this contract being in Sri Lanka, he was so annoyed. He wanted to, write to them immediately and criticize them or, have a debate over it. But he stepped back. He stepped back and decided to have some time to think about it. He stayed a day, he stayed 2 days, he didn't do anything, he didn't react, and he didn't email them saying the wrong thing. And within 3-4 days, he said they came back to him and he won this contract. So I'm telling you this because my friend has given me the permission to tell you this story, though I'm not going to mention names. But it just tells you the wisdom of seeing that every situation is changing all the time. All the time. Every situation is changing all the time. And the guys who are patient will see that changing nature and will be able to act wiser and maybe profit from the situation. Whereas if you were hasty, you may have lost out on something. So I hope you will bear this story in mind because it has helped me a hell of a lot. And I hope it will help you one day too. And I'm sure if you take the time to think of a situation which is similar in your life, it could be a relationship between a boyfriend, a girlfriend, parents, colleagues in college, work colleagues. You have definitely encountered this situation, and your reaction is what would be interesting for you to analyze. So think about this, and I do hope that this will stay with you because this has helped me a lot in my life. Okay, so now I'll get to something which may interest you more. The life in cricket and what sports basically did for me. So I started playing cricket at a tender age of maybe 8, 9, 10. My father was very, very keen on getting us to play cricket. I had 2 brothers who were ahead of me, but my brothers, and they were playing for school. And my father was very interested because he said cricket was a way of life. He said, if you play this game, you are going to benefit by what it gives you in your after cricket life. And he was of the opinion that cricket will teach you so much about what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong, discipline, and doing things the right way. Because cricket was considered a gentleman's game, at least in my time. And there were certain things you had to follow in the game. So I started playing cricket from a very young age, but I will share some of the stumbling blocks or interesting times I had to go through. So when I was in school doing my A-levels, I managed to get through my A-levels and I got an offer to join the university. But being in playing for university would not have helped me trying to play for my country because the university teams were not doing that great during that time. So I had the option of playing for SSC, which was a premier club and a very big club at that, and trying to get into playing for my country or going to university. And at that time, accountancy was fashionable and it was considered something that was very lucrative to get into. So as I had a brother who was an accountant as well, I opted to try doing accountancy and playing cricket for SSC. I was offered a job at the Maharaja organization and the Ceylon Tobacco. And as I didn't like the idea of working for a company that sold tobacco, I opted to join the Maharaja organization as management training, which I enjoyed very much. So whilst working, I remember being offered, doing my ACCA, and I did my part one, got through it with difficulty, I'm sure. And then I sat for the second part and I failed in one subject. And, I was beginning to struggle with studying and playing fairly serious cricket. So I went to my managing director and told him, "Sir, I need leave because I can't cope with playing cricket and doing accountancy." And I must say, he gave me these words of wisdom, which helped me make up my mind. He called me to his boardroom, and I still remember he said, "What do you want to do in life? Do you want to be an accountant or do you want to be a test cricketer?" So I very sheepishly said, "Sir, I would like to do both." And he smiled and said, "Can I tell you what I think you should do?" He said, "I think you should try and become a test cricketer because I can get 10 accountants today. But if you play test cricket and you do something for yourself and your country, I would value you more." I must say this was encouraging, though from home I was getting a lot of flack, trying to neglect my studies. And then we started touring, and I found I was postponing my accountancy exams 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. And by that time, I was too much into cricket. And I had to decide to continue cricket. But that's a huge chance one takes. Because as I said, there was no financial gain in playing cricket. But cricket was my passion.
Mr. Vetamani, yes, you have muted. All right.
Sorry, as I was saying, if you have the passion, follow it. Yes, there is a risk you will have to take. Yes, whether you'll succeed or not is entirely your belief. But if you do have that belief, follow it. You see, another great thing my father always told me, and I remembered that, and I tell this to youngsters like you. He said, "Even if you want to sweep the road, son, try and be the best at it. You will always have a place. You will always be recognized, even if it's to sweep the floors, but be the best at it." So the message was, whatever you do it well. Do it, give it the best shot. You may fail, everybody doesn't succeed, but you will at least say, "I gave my best shot and I will find success in what I'm doing." Of course, like in any career, be it cricket, maybe business, accounting, anything, you will find it's a lot of hard work for a few moments of glory, if you can call it that. You see, when you play sport, you'll find there are hours and hours that you put into the game for a few moments of glory, really, But the blood, sweat, and tears that go into it are never seen on a field of sport. The years of hard work, the practice, the toil. So there are 3 very important things that you need to remember in this effort of trying to do something. First, you need the determination. Ask yourself, have you got the determination, the true courage to do what you want to do? If you have that, do you have the discipline? Do you have the discipline to go with that determination? And the third, as important, is the dedication to that task. Do you have that dedication? And you'll find in whichever area you are involved in, be it sport, academic, anything, your work, you need these 3 qualities to be made much of. These three qualities are what is needed, especially at your age. When you grow older, you'll find your determination starts to lag. The discipline too can fade, and that dedication goes. It is at your age that you need these three things. And remember, whatever you do, you will find it is these three things that will help you excel in any area. So ask yourself, are you determined at what you want to do? Are you dedicated? And are you disciplined? So as long as you have that, you can go a long way in whichever area you are. So that's the message I want to give you guys. I don't want to bore you with too much, but I would be very happy to answer any questions or discuss anything you want to, because I have a feeling that would be a lot more interesting for you than listening to me ramble.
Thank you, Mr. Vethamuni. And if the host can let me know if there are any questions from our participants, I will direct them on their behalf. We do have we have an interesting question. What was it like being the first centurion for Sri Lanka and to represent Sri Lanka?
Yeah, to represent Sri Lanka, I guess, was every cricketer's dream, and it was my dream too. And getting the first test century, I always said was just luck. There was another guy who got 100 2 days back, but I was the lucky guy. So I just think I was lucky. It just so happened that I got it a couple of days before the other guy who got it. And, it never dawned on me that it is the first test 100 till you actually made it and came back to the dressing room and people say, hey, that's the first 100 you made for the country. So, yes, it was a lovely experience and a very memorable achievement, if you may call it. But I just say I was lucky. I was lucky. And of course, getting test status was a big thing in my time because, my career started in 77 to 87 and we got test status in 81, 82. So besides just wanting to play for Sri Lanka, the one thing we wanted to do as cricketers was to say, I've played a test match, I've played test cricket because that was new to us. And that was a huge achievement or something we wanted to do. As a cricketer, you just wanted to play a test match because we were new in test cricket at that stage. So that was what was important.
Yes, and there is another very interesting question. The audience is asking, what do you like the most, cricket or golf?
Well, I started playing golf way past my retirement. I started golf only when I was about 42. Now I'm an old man. So yes, I love playing golf now because it's something I can still enjoy at my age. But cricket was in my youth. But I regret not having played golf at a younger age because your body can adjust much faster if you start playing golf at a young age. And I would advise all of you all who want to play golf, start early, start now, because your bodies are a lot more malleable and physically you feel much better. Don't wait till you're too old to start playing golf. But I do enjoy playing golf because it's a social game. There's great interaction, and it's fun. I do enjoy it very much.
And there is also a question. Yes. Have you ever doubted what you really want to do? If so, how did you get through that stage of life, as it could be quite confusing?
Interesting question. Yes, these doubts were there when I was playing cricket, because especially during the mid 80s, there was these problems with the JVP uprising was there, and there was a little trouble in the north, and we were not having enough test cricket. We were having teams coming to Sri Lanka or postponing. And when you're between 25 to 29, 30, you begin to think about post 30 life. And as I said, there was no money at all in cricket. And when you come to 20, I was thinking of getting married when I was 29 or 30. And then I'm thinking, how do I make a living? How do I have a family, have kids, and survive? But it was the that instinct I had, that I can make it good after I finish my cricket career, that kept me going, So you got to have that belief. You got to have that trust or confidence in yourself to say, I can do it. And I certainly had that, because I never doubted the fact that I will find something that is going to keep me going when I retire. And I'm sure if you cultivate those three things I told you, you will have the capacity to do what you are doing, and the belief that you will find your way when you retire or when you finish whatever you're doing. So following that passion with the right mindset is absolutely vital. As long as you have the confidence and belief in yourself, I would say go for it. Do what you think is your passion.
Follow your passion. And we are getting a lot of cricket related questions. Did you look up to anyone in your cricket team? Who was your idol?
Well, I looked up to most really to my elder brother, who was ahead of me, and we was playing for Sri Lanka, so I did. And then I used to admire a guy called Michael Tissera. I'm sure you all would have heard of. He was a Sri Lankan cricketer of great repute. And I used to think of him as a gentleman cricketer. He carried himself very well, did everything the way it should be done. And I used to aspire to wanting to be like him or my brother. Have I lost you?
Mr. Siddhartha, I think the host is a little stuck until she gets back.
Yes.
Yes. We do have a couple of more questions for you, if you don't mind.
Sure, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So until she gets back, I will just ask you a couple more questions. Okay. So there was a question in the chat box as well. Let me direct you to that question. If you had one opportunity to go back in time, what would you have done differently? What would you have changed?
I'm not sure I would have changed anything. I thoroughly enjoyed what I did till I was 30. Absolutely loved the sport, the exposure, the travel that came with it, the competition, the camaraderie, and all that was fantastic. So I would say I'm very happy with what I went through, and I wouldn't want to change anything.
Okay, so one last question. We do have a lot of young cricketers in the Rotaract movements. We do have Rotaractors playing cricket, trying to achieve something. So what advice would you give our young Rotaractors?
Well, the key is, play the game for the sheer joy of it. It's a great leveler. It teaches you how to take ups and downs, which is what you'll encounter in life. Cricket brings you down to earth very fast. Cricket teaches you to take things in the right way, not to get carried away with winning, nor lose heart when you lose. It keeps you in that happy medium, and it teaches you lessons of life, and that's what life will be, lots of ups and downs, and it is our reaction to those encounters that make us better or worse. So in that sense, cricket is a great game, even to play it as a fun sport. You learn so much. You learn to interact, you learn team spirit, the togetherness, supporting your co-players. It teaches you all that. As I said, it's a way of life. So good luck to all of you who want to play cricket seriously or otherwise. It's a great game. Enjoy it.
I think Metmini is back. Over to you, Metmini.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Vethamuni, for all those inspiring words. And I think I personally learned so much. And to all the Rotaractors, patience is a virtue. Stay dedicated, determined, and disciplined. Before we end this part of the segment, can we take a picture with Mrs. Siddharth Vethamuni and also the participants who are in a position to turn on their cameras? Please do. Once in a lifetime opportunity, I think. I think if the host could let us know when the picture is being taken. I think the cheeks are starting to hurt now. If someone could let us know. I think I'm
yes, Metmini,
yes.
You've gotten the picture.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Vethamuni, and also to everyone who sent questions. I'm sorry if some of your questions weren't answered due to time constraints, but to Mr. Vethamuni, thank you so much. It was absolute honor and a pleasure to have you, and I'm pretty sure all the cricket fans who are joining with us were absolutely thrilled to hear from you. Thank you so much for coming on board.
Thank you very much for having me, and I wish all of you the very best in your future endeavors. All right, I'll take your leave.
Thank
Goodbye.
you, Mr. Vethamuni. Right. Okay. So I hope you guys benefited from that session and that you learned so much about cricket and other things. So moving on to the next part, but well, before we get to the fun part of the fun session, well, remember I told you about those gift winning opportunities? Well, let me tell you how to win your gifts. So all you have to do is take a picture and post it on Instagram while tagging the Rotaract district page, the Rotaract conference page, and also your club page. If you can take a selfie, we would appreciate that. But yes, as long as you take a picture of the Rotaract conference, of you taking part in the Rotaract conference, and put it up on Instagram, and again, tag the Rotaract district page, the Rotaract conference page, and your club page. How the winners will be chosen is the club with the highest participation will be surprised. That's all they said to me. I don't know. That's what they said. So I'm guessing it'll be a really nice surprise. So, I mean, this is a little bit to do to win free merchandise. So yes. But if you're planning on Instagramming now, do wait, because next segment is, well, it's time for some entertainment. And as you know, the talk of the town these days is, Voice Sri Lanka and the organizing committee and the district team, being completely awesome, have gotten a very talented individual here to join with us and to, well, add a bit of glamour to your evening. Ladies and gentlemen, be prepared to be mesmerized by the ever talented Kaylee Berenger. Kaylee, this invitation is for you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Kaylee.
I'm so ecstatic and I'm so honored and blessed to be invited. And without further ado, I will switch on to the songs I'll be singing. And this song is a special song, and I have actually got quite a lot of requests to sing this for different rounds. So I don't know whether that'll happen, but this is my show for all of you. Apologies if there are a couple of technical issues. If that happens, just know I'm singing from one side of the computer. So, okay. She's just a girl and she's on fire, hotter than a fantasy, lonely like a highway. She's living in a world and she's on fire, filled with catastrophe, but she knows she can fly away, saying, oh, she got both feet on the ground and she's burning it down. Whoa. Got her head in the clouds and she's not coming down. This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. Looks like a gun, but she's a flame. So bright you can burn your eyes. Better look the other way. You can try, but you'll never forget her name. Say, she's on top of the world, hottest of the hottest girls. Say, no, we got our feet on the ground and we're burning it down. Whoa. Got our head in the clouds and we're not coming down. This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. Everybody says that she goes by because they can see the flame in her eyes. Watch her as she's lighting up the night. Nobody knows that she's a lonely girl, and it's a lonely world. She gon' let it burn, baby, burn, baby. This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. Whoa. hope you guys enjoyed that first one, and hopefully it was audible.
Haley, that was absolutely amazing. I don't even have the words. That was an absolutely mesmerizing performance. And I think from the cameras I saw a lot of people, probably trying not to dance already.
I was so happy. Next song is a famous song. If you guys watch the movie Mulan, it's one of my favorite songs from that. And it's Christina Aguilera's Loyal, Brave, and True. So let's go with that.
It's not freedom over my shoulder. I steer clear of you. Home for my family, reason I'm breathing, everything to lose. Should I ask myself in the water what a warrior would do? Tell me underneath my armor, am I loyal, brave, and true? Am I loyal, brave, and true? Losing is easy, winning takes bravery. I am a tiger's fool. Out in the open, no one to save me. Kindest of whispers, a crow. Should I ask myself in the water what a warrior would do? Tell me underneath my armor, am I loyal, brave, and true? Am I loyal, brave, and true? Cold is the morning, warm is the seas, chasing the answer till I can breathe. Will I be stronger? Will I be weaker? You're not with me. Who am I without my armor? Standing in my father's shoes. All I know is that it is harder to be loyal, brave, and true.
Thank you. Hopefully I did justice.
An absolutely beautiful performance. It's one thing to sing live, it's a completely different thing to sing on Zoom, and you did that spectacularly. Thank you so much for that absolutely beautiful performance, Kaylee.
Honored and blessed. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
And it was our pleasure to have you, and thank you so much for coming on board. And yeah, and wishing you all the very best with your future endeavors, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Looking forward to it. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Right, so I hope you guys are all energized and hyped up, because next we have an engaging and interactive session to find out your hidden potentials, because that's what Rotaract is about, and more importantly, that's what District Conference is going to be about. All right, so to carry out that session, we have a very interesting individual with us, that is Mr. Faviz Imamuddin. So to give you a little bit of an intro, Mr. Faviz Imamuddin is an award-winning speaker, a communications consultant, and the president of Toastmasters International. He loves helping people discover their hidden potentials and inspires them to reach their highest potentials. As Rotaractors, which should be our goal as well in our lives. And before doing that, we must find our hidden talents. And now, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to be, well, energized and to discover your hidden talents. Mr. Faviz Imamuddin, I'm handing over the session to you.
Thank you, Methmini. Just a small clarification. I'm not the president of Toastmasters International. I was the past president of Candy Toastmasters. So just that clarification. I started that clarification. Okay. Well, it's a pleasure and honor to be here upon the invitation of Satma. Thank you for inviting me. And it was a pleasure listening to Siddharth Vettamuni and listening to Kayla Berenger's songs as well. So thank you for giving me the opportunity too. So let me begin with a story that happened a long, long time ago when I was at school, when I was in grade 10, sitting in my classroom and doing what I usually do when I'm bored. I was drawing. My box of crayon was right in front of me. I was drawing on my school exercise book, I think my literature book. And if I can remember, it was a dog. And I was so into it, I didn't realize that that something was coming towards me from that end, from right in front of me. And before I knew it, it landed on my face like a soft slap. And when I opened my eyes, all I could see was these dust particles dancing in front of my eyes. And I was trying to find out, oh my God, what happened, right? And when I came to my senses, all I could see were these eyes looking at me, my classmates. And of course, they were making a mockery out of me. They were having a laugh out of my predicament, my tragedy. And I was wondering, who did this? And it didn't take me long to realize what happened, because I saw a duster right in front of me. And I know you can imagine who has done this, because usually the one who throws dusters at your face when a class is going on is the teacher. So it was my literature teacher who threw that duster on my face because he was annoyed that I was not paying attention to his lesson. I was not actively listening. So I was invited tonight to do a session on active listening, and I don't know why you chose me, because I was clearly not an active listener. And I got beaten up for that too. But the question here is, the reason I chose to start with this story is to emphasize the fact that there is a precondition for active listening. Does anyone know what that is? What the precondition for active listening is? You can type in your answers if you can guess the answer. Well, are we getting any answers? Nope. All right. Okay, I'll spell it out for you. Well, the precondition for active listening is effective speaking. Right? I got beaten up by my literature teacher for not doing that, and I don't think it's my fault, because as human beings, our nature, when we hear something boring, is to shut down. That's our nature, and that has happened to all of us, right? When we were sitting in our classrooms, it's not the fault of the subject, but that human being who walks into the class can sometimes make the most interesting subjects sound so boring, like my literature teacher. So that was not my fault, and that was not the fault of my friends, my many other friends who were sleeping behind the backbenches. Right? So the precondition is effective speaking, and that's why I want to start this session with that topic, effective speaking, because you are not expected to actively listen all the time. That is not a requirement. That is not a demand. But here's what can happen if you don't learn to actively listen, right? Now, you have all the privilege to shut down when you're listening to a boring speaker. But if you shut down when a life-changing speaker is on stage, like Martin Luther King or Steve Jobs or even Siddharth Vettama, if you can shut down when a speaker like that is speaking to you, then there's all the possibility that it's going to cost you a fortune. And that is why active listening is important. And yes, I said it right, because active listening is a skill that has to be acquired, just like effective speaking. We need to learn to actively listen, right? Sometimes I don't do that. When my wife, I'll be working and my wife will come all of a sudden and say, what are you doing here, sitting down still? I said, why, what's wrong? And she'll say, you just told me, okay, you're going to get some vegetables. I said, I never heard that, because I'll be so focused on what I'm doing, I won't be actively listening. And that's a problem I have, because that's the problem all of us have, right? When we are focused on something too much, we don't hear other people talking to us. So I want to start this session with a video. Is the video ready, by the way? It is ready?
I believe so, Mr. Imamdeen.
Okay, right. So this is what I want you to do. So when the video is being played, don't play the video yet. When the video is being played, please count the number of passes made by those who are wearing white. Okay, white, right? Count the number of passes by those who are wearing white. That's all I want you to do. All right, and let's talk about it after.
Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball. How many passes did you count?
Okay, how many passes? Anyone? 13, 12, 15, 20, all right, 14, 16. Oh, okay. Lots of answers. Oh my God, I can't keep track. Ah, right, that's beautiful. Okay, nice. Brilliant. Okay, I can't count all the 446 answers, right? It's okay. I'll stop you there. Well, the correct answer is 15, right? But how many of you saw the gorilla? You can raise your hands if you saw the gorilla. So most of you didn't see the gorilla. Okay. Okay, right. Most of you didn't see the gorilla. Some of you saw, but did everyone see the gorilla? Is that right? No, there are a few people who have not seen it. Okay, there are lots of people who have not seen the gorilla. Okay, wow. Yeah, okay, fine. Okay, just to give you a context on how many people have not seen the gorilla, there are 19 pages, I think, altogether. And only those who are from the first, second, and third pages have seen the gorilla. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. No, not even third, second, right? So the rest of the 17 pages. So how many of you are here in one page? 5 into 5, 20, 50, right? Out of 476, 446, 50 of you have seen, whereas nearly 400 of you didn't see the gorilla. So can we please play the video again? Now don't count the passes. Watch for the gorilla. All right? Can you please play the video again?
Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball. How many passes did you count?
Doesn't matter, does it? All right. Anyway, you see, the gorilla was there for a good 5 seconds, but we never saw that, right? But the second time, when you wanted to see the gorilla, you saw the gorilla. Right? What do you think happened? Now, let me break it down to you. In the first video, what most of you were doing was you were so focused on the passes. Your mind was narrowed down to count the passes. It was so narrowed down that it immediately shut down to all the distractions that was happening around. It shut down, and that is the word. Right? So when your mind is too focused, too narrowed down on one particular objective, then there's all the possibility that you will not notice or hear the things or the distractions that are happening around. And this is the opposite of having an open mind. This is the same thing that can happen when you're listening to someone, but you're already prejudiced on a conclusion. That happens to most of us, right? The speaker is speaking, and our mind is prejudiced. We have the answers, and the only thing that we are trying to do is we are trying to refute them in our head. Okay, let me get you at the Q&A session. And we miss out on the crux of the speech. This happens all the time. And this is so dangerous because we just experienced that, didn't we? Our mind is capable, our mind is not under our control. That is the conclusion. So we have to learn to keep our mind in control. And that is why I told you, active listening is a skill that has to be acquired. Like I told you, if the speaker is as boring as my literature teacher, you're not going to lose much. If you have prejudices, if your mind is shut down, right? But if the speaker is as transformational as Nelson Mandela or Steve Jobs, then obviously that's going to cost you a fortune. All right. So rule number one, we need to have an open mind. We need to learn to have an open mind. And prejudices are dangerous because from the time we are born, we are fed with so many things that there comes a point where our prejudices are believed to be factual, which is dangerous. Prejudices are what they are. They are prejudices. They are not factual until you verify them. All right. So don't, if you want to because there are a few ways that you can transform your lives. You read, you watch, and you listen. All right. And active listening is as crucial as critical reading. And these are the few ways that you can transform your mind. So if you do not learn to actively listen, if you do not learn to open your mind to what people are saying, then you'll be living in your small bubble world where you will not see the gorilla walking in. You will only be counting the passes, probably the relevant things. Okay, so rule number one, keep an open mind. Yeah. Since I have only 20 minutes, I'm not going to take long. So here's the final activity. It's a very simple activity, an activity that most of us might have played. So I'm going to play a game, a small game, right? And I need some volunteers. I need 10 of you maximum. Can 10 of you volunteer to play the game? I'm not going to catch you off guard, right? Like I did with the gorilla game video. I'll tell you what you're going to do. Okay, before you get into the game, before you sign up, right? Because you're wondering, oh my God, what is this man up to? Is he going to ridicule me, embarrass me? Well, so I'll tell you what you're signing up for. The game is simple. All you need to do is remember a sentence. That is all you have to do, right? And pass it to someone else. I think you have played this game before, right? Remember a sentence and pass it to someone else. The sentence is as simple as, for Christmas this time, for Christmas this time, I want a Cargill voucher from Santa, right? Maybe this, I mean, that is not the sentence you're getting, right? I'm not going to reveal the sentence now. For Christmas this time, I want a Cargill's voucher from Santa. Is it difficult to remember that? Not difficult, right? For Christmas this time, I want a Cargill's voucher from Santa. How difficult can that be? Right? So you have to remember that sentence and pass it over to your colleague or the player in your team. So this is how we're going to play the game. 10 of you are going to volunteer, because Satma told me that 10 of you will volunteer. So Satma is accountable. And once that happens, we'll keep one of you with us, and rest of the 9 of you will go to the waiting room, right? And we'll get one by one into the main room, and we'll give the sentence, and the others can watch the fun. Right? Have a good laugh at the others' expense, probably.
If
All right,
there, sorry, if there are any volunteers, you guys can use the raise the hand option. I think we have.
If you have more than 10, we can go up to 12 maximum, right? If you have more than 10, we'll go up to 12 maximum.
There's 10 people now.
Okay.
And there's a thumbs up as well, which I am assuming is
raise hand. Okay,
yeah.
Fine. Let put that person in as well. Put that person in as well.
Okay. So 11, and I believe we have, okay, we have 12.
Okay, all right.
All
12
right.
is good. 12 is good. So let one of them be here with us, and the rest of the 11 can, you can put them in the waiting room.
Right.
All right. So not yet, right? Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, they're being moved to the waiting room now.
Yeah, right.
And
I think there's only one person left.
I think there's 2. Okay, we just need to move. Oh, okay, now we have only one person left.
One person, Azam Hassan. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Azam, how are you? Azam?
Hi, how are you doing? I'm doing well. Yeah.
Oh, right. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. It's a great pleasure to meet you. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'll be giving you the sentence. You can't write this down. All right. You can't write this down.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Don't
Okay.
Let's see. Down on a paper. Right. Okay.
I was thinking to take a photo if you, put in a picture. Yeah.
No,
but
no,
yeah,
I won't.
Let's go.
I'm not as stupid as that. No.
Okay. Go on. Yeah.
I won't do that. All right. Okay. So let me spell it out to you.
Yeah.
Listen to me carefully. Right. A dog named Moose.
A dog named
Moose.
Okay.
Ran loose through the forest, chasing a goose.
Okay. So I have to get into the
You have to get that into your head. That's all you have.
a dog named and forest. Okay, let's give it a try. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Get the other player in, please.
So
All the best, Azam.
thank you very much. Yeah.
Is the other person in?
The host, if you can move Azam to the waiting room and get the next person.
Yeah, because Azam is trying not to forget the sentence.
Yeah, that's why it takes time. Yeah. Yeah.
Every second is crucial. All right.
So
Okay.
the next person.
Who's the next person? I can't see whoever it is. So if someone dropped into the main room from the waiting room, please give us a shout. That
You
we
can
know
raise
you.
your hand.
Why did Azam go into the waiting room?
Oh, he's not.
Don't put Azam into the
Okay,
waiting
let's
room.
get Azam
Azam has
back.
to come back. Oh, poor thing. He might have forgotten the sentence by the time he comes back. Okay, right. Did you bring him back in?
Let's see. Is Azam back? Yes, he is.
Azam is back. All right, Azam is here. So who's the other player who's here? You have to tell your name. Or if the host Chamodia Vijayvardhan. Okay, fine. Chamodia, Azam is going to give you a sentence, right? You can't write it down. Okay. You just have to remember it and then pass it over to the next player. Clear? All right. Azam, here you go. I don't know, you're on mute.
Give me a second, Mr. Parvez.
Yeah.
Do you want all other 9 people in the waiting room?
Yeah. They should be in the waiting room.
Okay, I think there's confusion here.
Yeah.
So can we get all the 9 people to raise the hand?
You got
I think we have
everyone
entered everyone
okay.
in.
Oh my God.
Yeah, let me figure it out. Can we have all the people who previously raised hand, please raise your hand again.
I'm totally fine with it, but Azam is going to forget a whole bunch of words.
Okay, let's do the activity again.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's give it a try. Yeah.
Okay.
So don't say it yet because all the players are here. All right. Okay.
All right. Can we have all those people onto the waiting room again?
Yeah. Quick.
Except
Chamodia. Chamodia was here, right? Yeah, except Chamodia. Or did you put Chamodia? If you put Chamodia in, don't worry. Keep someone else. Chamodia is here. Hi, Chamodia. How are you?
Doing good, sir.
Are you nervous?
I'm afraid you forgot the sentence.
All right. Yeah, he is nervous. Azam is nervous. I'm asking you.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, let's give it a try. Yeah.
We are good.
Okay. Right.
Okay. Shall I go?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Pass it over.
Okay. Okay. A dog named Moose ran loose to the forest following a goose. Is it?
Okay. Right.
Okay.
You got it?
Yeah.
Chamodia? All right. Okay. Get the other person in, please. Chamodia, don't forget the sentence now.
I'm trying my best.
We have brought the person in.
Is it Paveen Pereira? Paveen? Is it Paveen?
We have brought the person in.
Okay, who's that? What's his name or her name? So whoever came from the waiting room, if the host doesn't know the person, I think it's Buddhima Senaratne. Am I right? Yeah. Okay, Buddhima, Chamodia is going to give you a sentence, right? You can't write it down. Don't write it down.
All right.
Okay, just have to remember it. Okay. And pass it over to the next player. Okay, Chamodia, all the best.
Okay. A dog named Moose ran loose into the forest following a goose.
All right.
Okay. You've processed that, Buddhima?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, good. Right. Paveen, is it? Can we have the next player in, please?
We have Marshall next.
All right. Marshall is here?
Yes, he is.
I can't see Marshall.
Just a second, please.
Marshall is here. Hi, Marshall.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, right. So Buddhima is going to give you a sentence, all right?
All right.
So remember it.
Okay.
Because you have to pass it over to the next player untainted and unchanged.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, please go ahead.
A dog named Moose.
All right.
Ran loose into the forest following a goose.
Okay. A dog named Moose ran loose into the forest following a goose.
Okay. All right. So, right. Can we get the next player in, please?
The next person is Oshadi.
Oshadi is here?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Marshall, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oshadi, Oshadi, can you turn your video on, please?
I have turned my video on, but I
Okay.
think it's not visible. Is it not visible?
You're not visible.
Let me check. Am I visible now?
Okay, that's fine. Marshall, can you give Oshadi the sentence, please?
Yeah. A dog named Moose ran loose into the forest chasing a goose.
Dog named Moose ran loose into the forest chasing a goose.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Can we have the next player, please?
We have Rotaract Saif.
Hi. Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Saif. How are you?
Very good, very good. How are you, Farviz?
I'm doing good. Thanks a lot.
Wonderful.
All right. Oshadi has a sentence for you.
Okay.
Right. So she's going to give it to you. Right. So take it and make sure that you pass it over to the next player.
Okay, cool. I'm listening.
All right. Okay, Oshadi.
A dog named Moose ran loose into the forest chasing a goose.
Okay. Right. You got that?
A dog named Moose ran loose into the forest chasing a goose. Okay, got it.
Okay. All right. So can we have the next player?
We have Rotaract Yashika Nipuni next.
Yashika, are you there?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Yeah. So Yashika, Saif has a sentence for you. All right. So can you turn your camera on, please, Yashika?
I'm sorry. At this moment, it's very difficult to open the camera.
Okay. All right. Okay. Fine. So here's the rule. You can't write it down, Yashika. All right. You have to pass it over to the next player only by memorizing the sentence, remembering the sentence. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Okay, Saif, go ahead. Saif, you're on mute.
Okay, that's much better. Right.
Okay.
A dog named Moose ran loose into the forest chasing a goose.
Okay, Ashika?
Yeah, okay. But
All right.
can you repeat it once again if it's possible?
Was it clear to you? Was it audible?
Yeah.
Okay, if it's audible, that's only once. If it was audible, all right?
Yeah, but one
That's
more
the
time,
whole
please.
point. That's the whole point. Because when someone is speaking, they don't repeat, right? They just say it once. You have if it was audible, it was audible.
Okay.
All right.
I think it's against the rule to repeat it more than once.
Yeah, it's
right?
against the rule. Yes. All right. Can we have the next player?
We have Rubinia up next.
Rubinia, are you here?
Hi. Yeah.
Hi, Rubinia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay, I'm fine. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Rubinia, Yashika has a sentence for you.
Okay.
All right. So she's going to give it to you. Make sure that you remember it and pass it over to the next player, but you can't write it down. All right.
All right.
You can't write it down.
Okay.
Listen to it carefully because you only hear it once. Huh?
Okay.
Okay. Yashika?
Yeah. A dog named Bruce ran after a goose into a forest.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Good. So can we have the next player in, please? How many more players are there?
Just a couple more. So the
Just
next
a couple more.
person
So
is
we're almost done. We're almost done.
Sashmita.
Okay. Shashmita, can you hear us? Am I audible?
Yeah.
All right. Shashmita, Rubinia has a sentence for you.
Okay.
All right. So make sure that you listen to her carefully.
Mhm.
All right, because she's only said it once, but you can't write it down. Okay. So can you please turn your video on?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, that's great. So listen to her and make sure you remember. Make sure that you remember the sentence and pass it over to the final player. I think the next person. All right, Rubinia, all the best.
I'm pretty sure this is wrong. I'm sorry in advance.
Okay, let us decide. Okay.
A dog named Bruce ran behind a moose into a forest.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
sorry in
We have the
advance.
Can you repeat it again?
Was it audible, Shashmita?
Yeah. Can she repeat it again?
If it was audible, she can't repeat it. If it
Okay.
was not, all right. If it was not audible, yeah, she can. But if it was audible, she. Okay, final player. All right.
Yeah. We have Tulakshi finally.
Hi.
Hi, Tulakshi. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Okay, Tulakshi, you're the final player. So
Okay.
Shashmita is going to give you a sentence. All right, you can't write it down. Just
Okay.
remember it, and repeat it to the main audience now. Shashmita.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's correct, but it's a dog named Roost ran behind Moose into a forest.
Okay, Tulakshi.
Yes. A dog named Moose. A dog named Moose went to the forest behind a goose.
Went to the forest behind the goose.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So this was, I mean, you got parts of the sentence. I'm amazed, right? In between, it was totally screwed up, but in the end, it was partly screwed up. But anyway, I'm happy that you screwed it up. Yeah, because if you didn't, the purpose would have been lost. Anyway, okay. Now, the sentence I gave the first player was a dog named Moose ran loose through the forest chasing a goose. Right? That was the sentence. But in the end, it was changed. A dog named Moose. What was that?
Went to the forest behind the goose.
Went to the forest behind the goose. All right. But before that, Moose became Roost. Right? A dog named Roost. Right? So finally, you got some words right. But here's the point. Here's the point. Okay? Here's the most important point. Okay, this is a simple game, but there were only 11 words here. There were only 11 words, right? And 11. How many seconds might it take for you to say 11 words? Maybe 10 seconds. Let's say 10 seconds. But imagine you're listening to a life-changing speech for half an hour or 45 minutes, like a keynote speech. So many words can be said, right? So in a minute, there are nearly 120 words. That's the average, right? So if you take 45 minutes, nearly 5,000 words, that is. So how much of that will you miss out is the question. Once again, I'm not talking about these boring speakers like my literature teacher. I'm talking about speakers who can change your life. We have audible learners like my sister. She's very annoying when she says that, I don't have to write anything down. I just have to listen to something and I remember. That's annoying. But, there are only a few. Audible learners are only a few. But most of us have to make an effort to remember. And that is why it is so important to keep a record of the speeches that we hear. It's like, reading a book. You read a book like this, and if you can't take notes while you're reading, if you can't be critical, then you don't learn much. You just surface read. That's it. And listening is just like that. If you're surface listening, like, okay, fine, this man is fun to listen to. I listened for 45 minutes. We won't take the most critical things home with us, the life-changing things home with us. Right? So this is why it is so important to take notes, record, keep record when you know the speaker is really, really good. Right? At least use a phone, or you have the technology, or if you have a notebook, just scribble down the most important points. Because they are the life-changing moments, vital moments. So there are only two things that I want you to take home tonight. One is, remember the gorilla video. Have an open mind. Have an open mind, because when your mind shuts down, you don't see the things around you like you didn't see the gorilla. Right? And if you know the speaker is good, if you know the speaker is great, if you know the speaker can transform your life, then keep records of what you hear. Write it down, or record it. Do whatever you want, but keep a record. Right? So have an open mind, keep a record. So once again, if the speaker, is like like my literature teacher, then there's all the possibility that you might not miss out on a lot of things if the speaker is as boring as a literature teacher. The worst case scenario, you might end up on a duster on your face. Maybe you can dust it off and use it as an interesting speech. When you're giving someone a lesson like I did. But if the speaker is a transformative speaker, if the speaker can change your life, if the speaker can determine your fate, then your inability, your lack of skill to actively listen might cost you a fortune. And that is why it is so important to acquire the skill. I say again, right? This is a skill that has to be acquired, learned, and mastered. So friends, please take these two things home. Have an open mind, keep a record. Thanks for inviting me. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Imamuddin. So the two lessons are to have an open mind and always keep a record. So we actually have a few questions for you. So the first one is, what is your go-to opening line to address a gathering that has worked very well?
All right. Okay. This is completely out of active listening, right? You're talking about effective speaking now. So there is no hard and fast there is no hard and fast rule as to how you should open a speech. But I personally like to open a speech using a story, because that is always a pull. When you start with a once upon a time, since we were little kids, we always loved stories, and our mind becomes alert. Like Michael Haig says, one of the leading Hollywood script writers, the primary purpose of storytelling is to elicit emotion. Right? And like Robert McKee says, storytelling is the most powerful tool to change the world. So that is what I like to do. I always use stories as the instant pull to open my speech, like I did today, and I hope that worked. But there are some traditional methods as well, like you ask a question that immediately makes your mind active, or maybe you can use a prop, or you can engage the audience, make it interactive. So there are so many ways, but here's the key. Make the audience curious. That is the key. Remember, curiosity killed the cat. Right? So if you can make the audience curious, they will stay with you. They will want to know, what is this man talking about? What is this woman talking about? They would want to know. So make the audience curious. That is the key. And rest of it boils down to your creativity.
Right. So curiosity killed the cat, yet satisfaction brought it back. All right. So moving on to the second question. If you are to choose between vocal and visuals, what would you choose to make it an effective address?
Well, both these tools are very powerful tools to attract the attention of the audience. Both these have a magnetic power. So, for example, if you take a speaker like Trevor Noah, I don't know whether you've listened to Trevor Noah. He's one of the best stand-up comedians out there in the world. If you have not, please go to YouTube tonight, watch his speech called Red Nose Day, right? Trevor Noah Red Nose Day. You can start with that. Because he's the kind of stand-up comedian who can not only make you laugh, but he can also make you think, and that is very difficult. And he does that. And majority of it is done through his vocals. He's really good at it, right? Like impersonating, mimicking. So he's really, really good at it. Okay, so that's a very good pull used by Trevor Noah, and he's a master at it. He hardly uses visuals. I mean, I have never seen Trevor Noah using visuals, except on his show, which is called The Daily Show, right? They use visuals, but on stage, he never uses visuals. But you also have the speakers who use visuals to tell stories. And so, for example, that depends on the platform that you are in. So if you're doing a corporate presentation, here's the key. Never use a visual to support your presentation. So for example, don't use it like a crutch. Some of us use it like a crutch so that we remember our stuff. Okay, so we put it up on a presentation so that we don't forget it. That's not for the audience, right? We are strategically using it so that we can go back to it so that we don't forget. When we do that, you have taken the audience out of the equation. And when you take the audience out of the equation, your presentation is never going to be effective, because in your equation, the audience is not there, right? It's like a father talking to his child who is self-centered, right? And all the advice he's doing is, listen, don't lie. But the next time he gets a call from someone he doesn't want the child answer, he says, shh, don't tell that I'm here, don't tell that I'm here, right? So he's so self-centered that he does not focus on the child. So a father like that can never change a child's life. So a speaker who is self-centered, a speaker who is using the presentation as a crutch, can never transform the audience. So if you want to use visuals, use it to help the audience understand what you're saying. All right? That is when the visual is powerful, not when it is used as a crutch. But there comes a point where you have to identify your strengths and weaknesses. If your strength is vocals, go for vocals. Right? If your strength is visuals, stick with visuals, but always make sure that you master vocals. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yes, sir. And one last question. What is the one factor you recommend any individual to improve on to master active learning?
Hmm. Well, it's a tricky question, right? Because for us to okay, I'll start with a story. When I was in school, once again, this goes back to our class because I was a bad learner. You see, uh, I hated science, absolutely hated science, right? And my mind would shut down, and you might think, oh my God, how did this person even end up here giving a speech to us? Uh, I'll tell you what happened after I left school. Because I'm the kind of person who can focus on things that I have an interest in. And if I find something like that, I can focus. I can put my entire focus on it. So after I leave school, I came across a person called David Attenborough. I don't know whether you've heard of him. You go to BBC Earth, National Geography, Discovery. He's there. He's all over. I listen to this person talking about science. I listen to this person talking about Earth. I listen to this person talking about animals. I listen to this person talking about science, and I became fascinated with science. You know, to the extent that I became addict. I was binge watching his videos. I would download his videos on YouTube, and I would watch just to know what he had to say about Earth, what he had to say about animals, and I was learning a lot of science from David Attenborough. It was the same, it was the same science that I learned at school. No different. And then my teacher taught me about animals, geography, anatomy, the earth, all these things. But my mind shut down. But when David Attenborough spoke about it, my mind was active. I started learning about it. So is science at fault? Not really, right? So it's the person who's teaching, and also, me as a learner, right? So if the secret for active learning is you have to find your passion first, right? You have to find your passion first. And then you have to find the right materials, like, for example, David Attenborough, right? So if you, for example, if you like psychology, sometimes you might think you don't like psychology because of the person who's teaching it. But listen to someone who's really good at it, and then you might find out you have the potential to learn psychology. And that is the first stage. You discover that you have the potential, and that is when you begin to actively learn. So active learning has many components, right? So like I told you, critical reading is active learning. Active listening is active learning. Observation is active learning. I have two daughters, and I learn a lot from them. I have a lot of. I use. Okay, will I have a couple of minutes to tell a story? Like 3 minutes to tell a story? Do I have?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, okay, fine. I'll tell you how I learned through observation, right? So a few years ago, my two daughters, my eldest daughter who's 7 years old, my youngest daughter who's 6 years old, they were playing a game called Mama and Daughter right there in the hall, all right? Now, my eldest daughter, Huda, she brought two chairs in, she put a blanket over it, she put a pillow over it, and she was preparing this bed. And she was the mama. She turned to my youngest daughter, Haya, who was 6 years old, who was the daughter, and said, Mama is sleeping on the bed, daughter is sleeping on the floor. Now, I don't know in which house this happens, but that was how it was supposed to happen in her game. But Haya did not accept that. She became so furious. She stood up. She ran to the bed. She got on the bed like a monkey before Huda could do. Right? She pulled the blanket out. She kicked the pillow over. The bed was a mess, and Huda was furious. And Huda went to, evil little creature, you naughty little thing, get lost now. You ruined my bed. Now, I was watching this unfold, right? I was watching this unfold. And I told myself, oh my God, I can't let this happen. This is my own daughter turning mad. So I said, Huda, come in, come in. Huda came over. She knew that she was in trouble, okay? Uh, and I told her, listen, you shouted at Haya, which is not right. Okay, and if you keep shouting at her, she's going to shout at other people as well, people who are younger than her. And you can't set an example like this. Have you ever seen me doing it? And Huda did this. I asked her, what? When did that happen? She said, yesterday. I asked her, what happened? She said, Why? When Haya scribbled on the wall, you shouted at him? And then I remembered, right? I couldn't say anything because my wife was standing right over there and she was going. But I learned the lesson. I learned the lesson. The lesson was, be the change you want to see in the world. Don't try to change your kids if you have not changed. That is an instance I learned by observing my kids. So you can learn in many ways. All you have to do is keep your mind active. So critical reading, active listening, active observation. These are the three things that you can learn from. And also, you have people who are books too. Talk to them, network. That is another way of active. I hope that answers the question. That's a long answer. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much, Mr. Imamuddin. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, we cannot accommodate any more questions. But Mr. Imamuddin, thank you so much for joining us today. It was an absolutely a very insightful session. I personally learned so much. And well, if my mother was around, she would probably agree with me about the not paying attention part. Yes. So thank you so much. Once again, thank you so much for coming on board and joining with us. And I'm pretty sure the audience as well benefited so much from this session. It was an absolute honor to have you with us today.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for inviting me. I had a lot of fun and wish you all the best. You guys are doing great.
Thank you so much, Mr. Imamuddin. And we hope that you stay safe and good luck with everything.
Yeah, you too. Keep safe. Good night.
Good night. All right, so everyone, we are coming almost towards the end of the session. However, the 30th Rotaract District Conference would not have been possible if it weren't for its sponsors, Hatton National Bank and Commercial Leasing and Finance. And this video is a message from them to you. Right. I believe there is another video to be shown. And once again, a big thank you goes out to our sponsors, Hatton National Bank and Commercial Leasing and Finance. So before we move on to the most awaited part, I guess, this is a reminder for those of you who have been Instagramming, I think throughout this session, if your privacy setting is on your Instagram account, make sure to send a screenshot of your story to the Rotaract District page and the Rotaract District Conference page, to both pages, so that you don't miss an opportunity to win some gifts. So again, for those of you who missed this part, there is an opportunity for you to win gifts. So all you have to do is put a story on Instagram, tag the Rotaract District page, the Rotaract District Conference page, and your club page. And the club with the highest participation will be apparently surprised. All right, so moving on to the exciting part. Well, actually, the most exciting part is on Sunday evening. So we recommend that you guys join for that session as well. So right now, what's going to happen is that voting for Papa Awards is going to open. So here's how you're going to vote. A link will be posted on the chat box. Posted on the chat box, and you will use that link and go to a platform. A code will be shown on the screen. So you type in the code and you cast your vote to the person that you believe is most worthy of that title. Now this code is going to change every 2 minutes. So when you're about to vote, when you're going to the platform, please type in the code that is going to be there on the screen at that point, because the code will automatically will not work with the platform. So every 2 minutes the code will change, so make sure that you type in the correct code in the platform. And yes, and there will be a video will play for you guys to remind you guys of the nominees of the Papa Awards. And well, I believe they will soon post the link, and you will have 15 minutes. And also, okay, this you must know, the voting will be only people who will be allowed to vote are the ones who have already registered to the Rotaract District Conference, as in the ones who have registered by now. So if you haven't registered, don't panic. You still have a chance to vote. So after the voting time finishes, the registration link for the Rotaract District Conference will open again, and you will be able to register. And tomorrow you will be able to vote for your favorites again. Tomorrow, day after, and the day after that. So we are going to recommend you guys to stay tuned, keep coming for the sessions, because, well, if you, I mean, it's hard to believe that you didn't gain anything from today, but you will definitely have something to gain every single day, because all these sessions are organized accordingly. Right. So if the host is, if the platform is ready, I think the link can be posted. But before that, a video will play to remind you guys as to who the nominees are. And the code will be shared now, and the voting will begin as soon as the code is shared. Ladies and gentlemen, the code is up, so start voting. Each of you have one vote, so make sure to use that vote, and please don't not vote, because not voting has not worked for anyone at all. So please do make it a point for to vote for your favorite. And ladies and gentlemen, the code has changed. If you're still voting, recommend to use the new code that is on the screen. And also there is a small countdown at the bottom of below the code. So yes, that'll give you an idea as to for how long that particular code will be available. And this code will be available for only 5 more seconds. Yes. So I would recommend you to stay till the code changes. And now we have a new code. And also this is a request to the host, if it's possible to send the link again. I think some people have disconnected and joined again. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the link is back in the chat box. So use the code on the screen and cast your vote. And the link has changed again, ladies and gentlemen. So the ones who got the link recently, you might have to use the new code. So please do make it a point to vote. I think your fans are relying on you. And to the ones who are still voting, voting will end at 9:30. And for the ones who are still with us, you can still post your stories on Instagram and stand a chance to win exciting gifts. And those activities are not just happening today, but those exciting activities are going to happen for the next 3 days. And there are some very interesting individuals who will be joining us for the next 3 days. So please do make it a point to come and join and have a little bit of fun. And yes, another 30 seconds more with this code. If you still haven't voted, you still have time. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a new code. You have a few more minutes to cast your votes. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have casted your votes, then yes, you can leave. I believe if you haven't had dinner, your dinner is waiting for you. But do join us for the next few sessions, which are going to be absolutely amazing and going to be you're going to learn so much. And I think a thank you is in order to the organizing committee and the district team for organizing this absolutely amazing session. And also thank you to all of you who stayed on till almost 9:30. Thank you so much for joining with us today. And yes, exciting things are ahead. So please make sure that you join and take part in the exciting challenges and activities, and don't lose your chance to win gifts for free. Right, so I am Rotaract Methvini, and I was your host for this evening, and you were stuck with me for 2 hours. I hope you all enjoyed, and yes, so this is me signing out, and hope you stay safe, and seriously, wash your hands. All right, good night, and well, hope you had a glamorous night. Have a brilliant rest of the week. Thank you.